It's Saturday morning cartoons, and I've got my cartoon book up here, or one of my cartoon books. This one is mostly from 1990. This is the Emerald Tablet of Lon. It's one of my diaries. I called it that because it's this beautiful, beautiful emerald color. And I got lots of stuff in it. It was material that, as I was studying and getting ready to put into action Crowley's Liber Samach, which is Crowley's version of using the formula of the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage, a ceremony to gain knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. And in this book, because Liber Samach is spread out, if you've ever read the material in Magic and Theory and Practice, you'll see that it's spread out over many pages with comments and dilations on the various sections of it throughout the whole thing. And then afterwards, there's almost an afterword of it, or a epilogue of it that's many, many, many pages and deals with. It's hard to read and to actually pick out from the material that he provides us a nice linear structure of the ritual itself. When do I say this? When do I draw this pentagram? When do I do this? What is the chronological order of this damn ritual? And so, in order I wanted to do it. Okay, I made the decision to do it in my official neophyte year, or my official zealoter year, I guess, of formal AA study, or relationship, I guess, if you will, with my teacher, Phyllis Seckler. And so I had to lay it all out in this book, step by step, until putting Crowley's stuff in red on this side, and my stuff on this side, until it became one seamless ritual that you could actually picture in your head doing, or standing up in your temple to do. And it was one of the main, and I think the most important section of my book, The Magic of Aleister Crowley, which was published a number of years later, in 1993, I think. And I print the entire Liber Samach, just as Crowley wrote it, and as it appears in Magic and Theory and Practice. And it goes from like page 125 to page 158. That's a long, long thing. And here is my kind of workable ritual script. Okay, in order for me to do that, and then it appears just more or less like a ritual that you could use as a script as you're memorizing it. Okay, all of the notes and that material are in the emerald. There's the workbook that went into that is in this emerald thing here. So I was going to talk just a little bit about that for Saturday morning cartoons, but as I was reading here, it was very interesting to look back at the magician Lon, or the so-called magician Lon of 1990, and see what I was going through right at that time. And I wanted to share a little of it with you. But my printing, okay, my printing is really, really tiny, and my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. So I may resort to being Sherlock Holmes here when but allow me to share this with you. And this entry was made October 19th, 6 p.m., Sun in Libra, Moon in Scorpio, 1990 EV. Discussions with a brother of the first week in October. So this was, I'm talking about something that took place like 2 weeks earlier, concerning his recent experience with Librasamic, led me to casually review the material as presented in Theory and Practice, and the bornless material of the Golden Dawn. My weekly Magic and Theory and Practice class, that had been going since 1979, so this is now 1990. That's how long I've been doing a weekly class. My weekly Magic and Theory and Practice class was about to cover Librasamic, so I wished to bone up so as to project an illusion of competence to my students. I'm still doing that, I might add. The material seemed remarkably clear upon review, and I began to reevaluate my purpose for incarnating in general. And in particular, my present position on the tree. Briefly, these are my conclusions, keeping in mind that I am not sure of my formal grade in the system. And I've got these numbered 0. I have long ago satisfied the tasks of the probationer and have formal paperwork signed. 1. The same for neophyte. My paperwork's in order and my control of the astral plane as satisfactory as I feel I'll ever achieve while this vehicle draws breath. Formal recognition of this has not been achieved as I truly know of no individual who is qualified to test me on this. I still don't. Phyllis's attempts were laughable and ended with her asking me to, quote, meditate till I agreed with her about the adeptship of another student I won't mention. He is probably still in prison. I'm not joking. So much for my continuing formal recognition. In other words, this is where I thankfully thanked Phyllis for all of her help, that I loved her dearly, everything else. I didn't quit. I didn't resign. She didn't kick me out. I just stopped sending her my diary. Number 1 continued. I do, however, look back over 12 years of Enochian evocations and scryings, both elemental and etheric, 20 years of astral projection exercises, and a fine ability to use a critical faculty in dreams and consciously take control in a dream until it becomes a projection. Over 20 years of work with the I Ching and Tarot. Therefore, I have no hesitation in claiming the grade of Zealoter. Number 2. My diaries of my probation Probationer and neophyte periods attest to my mastery of asana pranayama. I know of no one in the order or among acquaintances of serious practitioners who have equaled my efforts in these areas. If the truth is to be known, success in pranayama, asana, far exceeds my success on the astral. That's because I was an old yogi. Okay, I came into all of this being a pretty serious yogi. Pretty serious, pretentious yogi pretender. My work on the 5 equals 6 in Rose Qua degree material, this is talking about, when I say Rose Qua, I'm talking about the OTO. Degree material, I feel fulfilled the Zealoter's final requirement. Number 3, practicus, that's the next grade whose work I was working on. Practicus is, quote, is expected to complete his intellectual training, and in particular to study the Kabbalah, unquote. I'll not toot my own horn in this area, except to say that I think my intellectual training is not complete, but that I am a very competent practical Kabbalist and teacher. 4, the moral training and devotion to the order has been tested. Of course, I feel myself the most moral and patriotic. And when I say patriotic, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about loyalty to the orders to which I belong. Magician alive, but this is entirely subjective. Number 5, Pratyahara and Dharana. To show mastery in these areas, I feel I must use Liber Samekh as my exercise. So I'm setting out on that. For the last 3 or 4 years, I have not thought about my next grade. I've just been living. My continuing magic classes have forced me to review, redo, and reevaluate the work of the early grades. I know them backwards and forwards, and I have lost touch with that old yearning. Until just recently, during a magic class, I was teaching about the yearning for the Holy Guardian Angel. It must have been a good lecture because I ended up taking my friend Hugo. Hugo, if you're watching, there in Italy. Hello, I love you, Hugo. I end up taking Hugo, who was at the time OTO initiate and Monday night class regular, and a good deacon too in the Gnostic Mass. But I digress. I ended up taking Hugo to the Ramakrishna Monastery, where we both got a devotional booster shot. Hugo has spent several weekends there, and it looks like he may become a monk. As a matter of fact, Hugo brought some monks to Gnostic Mass a few times when he was working with the people of the Vedanta Society's Ramakrishna Monastery up in the O'Neill Park area. I guess what I'm saying is, quote, what am I waiting for, unquote. As much as I've rebelled from Phyllis's mediocrity, and I remember I'm still sort of an uppity adolescent or young man here, I've since reevaluated her mediocrity to be something very unmediocre. I have great respect for her. Okay, as I've rebelled from Phyllis, And I said, in parentheses, don't do magic until you have your angel, and you can't, uh, you aren't ready to invoke the angel yet. So you can't do magic till you got the angel, and you're not ready to invoke the angel yet. That was the catch 22 I was in with Phyllis. So, at least I am beginning my study and memorization of Samic. I want to start a new chapter in my magical career. And if this isn't the next step, what is it? Now, this is a retro entry talking about something that happened on October 12th, 1990. I began this workbook. Okay, I began this workbook by putting notes from Theory and Practice and the Golden Dawn opposite the text for easier study and memorization. Okay, here we come back. October 22nd, 1990, Sun in Libra, Moon in Scorpio, 5:15 a.m. Last night, before retiring, I decided to change my regular morning routine so that I have a few extra moments in the morning to study Liber Samic. This means changing Constance's routine as well, but we made plans to get me up a little after 5 a.m. I would then shower, BM, etc. You didn't need to hear that. And spend a period in the third bedroom temple with my weapons and emerald tablet. Now I have made no vow to do this every morning till Epiphany or anything, but it did give me that uneasy feeling of commitment, like stage fright. And my sleep was restless, and my dreams were full of irritating characters that I can only describe as demonic. They came in endless variety. Each group was so unique that even though they bothered me and disturbed my rest, I couldn't help but giving them my attention. Then, about 3 a.m., from somewhere came the sound of horns blowing, 2 or 3 notes making a chord. This woke Constance and I both up. Actually, somebody's car horn was blowing. And it went on and on and on. It's probably one of those, theft car alarms. It was stuck, or perhaps part of a car alarm system. We tried to get back to sleep, but it went on for several more minutes. Then it occurred to me that maybe this was my car. And like the gallant gentleman, I encouraged Constance to go see. Sure enough, it was my car, independently blowing its horn at 3 in the morning. Now, I didn't have a car alarm. Okay, I've never had a car with any sort of security, anything. Constance beat the steering wheel, and and it stopped. But by then, a lynch mob of semi-dressed neighbors were proceeding up the driveway. Constance mumbled an apology and came back to bed. Sleep was uneasy until the alarm went off at 5 a.m. I showered as planned, put on clean underwear, and went in the temple. Read through Liber Samic. After banishing and purifying the temple. That's sort of what I did routinely before I did anything. Then worked a bit more on memorization. Before temple opening, I read a I read a little from Liber 65. October 23rd, 1990, 5:15 a.m. Sun in the last moments of Libra. Moon in Sagittarius now. Routine as yesterday. Heretofore referred to Samic ritual or Samic ray, which consists currently of a rehearsal of pages 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47. Memorization through section B almost mastered. October 26th, so this is 3 days later, 6 p.m. No Samic ritual since the 23rd. Have read through each morning and have memorized through section C. I've had time at work. I've had a full-time job through all of this. Had time at work to lesser ritual of the pentagram and practice what I'd memorized. I would go into the restroom to do my pentagram rituals. Note, concerning the Holy Guardian Angel's name, on the morning of the 24th, while rehearsing at work, during section A, line 5, thou art Rahur Kuit, unquote, out of nowhere I said, thou art Rahur Kuit, my pal, myself made perfect. Pal, P-A-L. 111. P and A-L. Mouth of God. Mars, air, Libra. More importantly, to say it evokes the feeling of closeness and identity, like a old, close, dear friend. October 27th, 5 a.m. Sun, Mercury, and Venus still conjunct in Scorpio. Moon in Aquarius. Did the rehearsal. Afterwards, I turned off the light and laid on my back and ran through everything I had memorized to this point in my body of light. For the portions that aren't memorized, I still moved to the positions, made the pentagrams, words and signs, and repeated the hear me now and make all spirits subject unto me part, okay? After this, I was hoping to fall asleep and see what happened. But the cast of astral characters, mostly female, were so, shall we say, untrustworthy, that I reabsorbed them. I used an astral vacuum cleaner and then visualized cleaning the room with it. And then I ate the bag. Did you follow that? Banishing the room in my head, I had an astral vacuum cleaner, and I cleaned the entire temple. And then I took the dust bag out of the vacuum cleaner and ate it. Yes, I'm sure that's something Merlin would do, okay? I ate the bag. Then banished and closed the temple before taking my nap. After my nap, Yi Ching to discover more about my angel. Did section A to line 5, then through the sticks. It came up number 17, following, with a moving line at the top. the joyous lake at the top, youngest daughter, and the arousing thunder, uh, the eldest son, on the bottom trigram. An older man, uh, let's see, an older man defers to a young girl and shows her consideration. By this she moves, by this he moves her to follow him. 6 at the top, and this is the moving line as we talked yesterday. 6 at the top, this refers to a man, an exalted sage, who has already put the turmoil of the world behind him. But a follower appears who understands him and is not to be put off. So the sage comes back into the world and adds the other in his work. Thus there develops an eternal tie between the two. October 30th, 6:15 a.m. Sun in Scorpio, moon in Pisces. I've been very ill all weekend and yesterday. Still went to work. Not last night. Met last night with Rick Potter. It's an old friend and one of the first Minervals we did. Brilliant man. Troubled man. Met last night with Rick Potter, who's offered me what looks to be a good administrative position at his practice. He was a clinical psychologist. Economy being what it is, things are very shaky at Tom's, or where I was working at the time. So I threw the I Ching. Question, is the time propitious, I guess, for me to leave Tom and go to work for Rick? It answers with the number 24, turning, or to approach. Moving line in the second place. I didn't write the commentary down. But anyway, October 31st, Halloween, 6:15 a.m. Did as much as I'd memorized the Liber Samach. Still very congested chest. November 1st, 6:20 a.m. Rehearsed up to that point. Health better than yesterday. Tomorrow is, according to the Anglican Priest Handbook, is the day dedicated to the Holy Guardian Angel. And actually, about that same time, I got a call from Christopher Hyatt suggesting or asking or giving me the opportunity to write a chapter or an afterword to his book, Secrets of Western Tantra. And that led into a partnership with Hyatt that would, for the next 2 years, occupy my time and give me the position of writing 4 books with him in 2 years. And that got my writing career going. So, be careful, dear. She's got her bike helmet on. She's going to go for a bike ride, I think, because it's a beautiful day. Anyway, that's just a peek. You feel kind of naked when you look back and see your shortcomings and prejudices and stuff of a younger you. But that's the way it is, and that's what diaries are for. Anyway, until Sunday school tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.